when we greenlight them as a new hire, their first step is to get the
License.
appropriate license to be in
Yep.
compliance.
Yep.
And so my question is, we've had reps that have passed the exam in 3 days. We've had reps that we've pestered for 3 months before they
Yeah.
pass the test. So should I put a timeline on that to require them to do it within a period of time and then start the new onboarding class and the university post license? And the only reason I'm leaning that way is because it's just such a lot of
Yeah.
information on the licensing side for them to be laser focused on that.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great question. So let's, work with our team to develop all the onboarding kind of infrastructure. So obviously we should start that right away with you. But to answer your question, I typically lean towards, hey, get your licensing and then we plug you into the structure. So for you, you'd have your onboarding cadence like we covered in the today's call, right? Every 2 weeks, or at least for you, 1 month, one time monthly. It depends on kind of how much human resources you got on the leadership side and kind of what your goals are. But you'd run like that 2 week new hire onboarding schedule once or twice a month when you're actively wanting to scale. And in the recruiting process, in the group interview, you're communicating the financial investment into the licensing. So that would fit into the sacrifice part of the pitch. So step 6 of the group interview presentation. So for those of you who are not licensed, I know some of you are on this call, but a lot of you are on this call who are highly interested getting into the B2B, insurance industry because of all the things that we covered in the last 20 minutes. So for those of you who really don't understand the industry and what it looks like to ramp up into success, here's what it looks like. Here's the sacrifice over the first 3 months or 6 months, et cetera. And a part of that pitch is going to be the initial licensing investment. So based on what location you're in, it's going to be, anywhere from $150 to $500 to get. So you communicate it there. And then if you, I'm not sure if you've been through the group interview and final interview training, but we'll have a
Yes,
post. Okay. In the group form, a question can be added to that Google form if you've seen that yet, where it's like, are you ready to invest into the licensing in the next week if you're, hired into
that's
the
great.
organization?
Yeah, because I have seen that form, and that's a great question to add on.
Yeah, so that'll be a good screener because based on how they filled out the form, you determine if you want to connect with them one-on-one. You get them, you do the one-on-one. I like to, not everybody does this, but I think it's efficient and a good strategy just to protect your time, especially if you're really limited on time, to save a good 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the final interview to open up the site and to try to almost close them on the spot to pay for the licensing right then if they're paying for it.
Great idea.
And then, and then to answer your question, actually, you do set the timeline. Hey, there's nobody that's been successful at this organization that at the latest hasn't gotten their licensing in a 2 week period. The quickest we've seen is 3 days. The latest for a successful rep has been within 2 weeks or whatever that actual timeline is. I imagine for you, the majority of people that are actively producing and that you've seen successful have done it within that 2 to 3, 4 week timeline.
Yes.
At least that's usually the case. I know you said there was the one kind of 3 monther, but that's probably not the norm. And so you want to set like a strict timeline because that helps provide a little bit more urgency. If they're bought in, they're typically going to do it. If not, then they don't. But you set the timeline around it, and then you plug them into your biweekly or week or monthly onboarding process, which is everything that we just covered in the last 45 minutes.
And I love that answer. Second question is, we the attractive thing about sales with us, like and comparing to Maverick, those guys have a faster ramp up, but they also probably have a lower ceiling because it's transactional, and as soon as you win a
Yeah.
deal, you're fighting for the next deal. What
Yeah.
we do is we pay renewal income, so they
Yeah.
layer income every year. So the ramp up for us, like we've got 6 reps, and now we have the infrastructure. Our goal is to hire 2 new reps a month forever, and probably increase from there. And so out of our reps, like our top 2 reps have made about 70 to 80,000 the first year,
Hmm.
150 to $180,000 the second year, and 300 plus the third year. So like,
Yeah.
how do I because that's insurance is far from instant gratification, right? So like, how do I take that kind of step by step model and still make it exciting over a longer period of time?
Okay. So two things. Okay. And this is important. So the first thing is because, you know, making it exciting. It's kind of the vision of the opportunity for you, what you just said, right? There's the residual, there's the compounding income that happens over time. You got actual objective examples. So that's the exciting piece, obviously, but then there's also the vision of the organization. So one thing that would be helpful for you, and you can have as much fun with this as you want to, is actually developing a vision for the organization in the future. And maybe there's some what of that today, but let's just I won't go through like revenue and kind of the goals right now, but just for the sake of illustration, let's say that a company was at um, you know, $1 million in revenue, just for the sake of illustration. Most organizations are going to be like, my next goal is to go to 2 million. And then if they were at two, their next goal is to get to five, and then to 10, and then to 20. If I had a client, which again, I know this is not you, was here, most likely they would say, my goal is to scale up a sales team that goes here, which is going to be like 1 to 2 reps. It's like, that's kind of boring. The problem with that, if I come through your recruiting pipeline and that's the goal, or if the goal's not large, um, then there's nothing outside of the core sales position that's selling me on joining your organization. But if I said, hey, let's have fun and think through a few goals down the line, 3 to 4 goals down the line, and we picked this and just said, hey, let's have fun and assume that we can build the organization that we want to. And we reverse engineered the sales team that goes from, in this hypothetical example, 1 to 10 million, and then reverse engineer the sales team required to get there. Well, all of a sudden we have a leadership org chart, a larger sales team, and I'm recruiting into the future opportunities. So let's say that I had a quota of 500K and I was going from 1 to 10 million. Well, in this example, I know this is not you because you have an existing successful sales team. You guys are doing more revenue than this. But in this example, the founder would be probably doing the revenue. So we can't assume that because they want to build an organization, get out of leadership, get out of selling, and delegate leadership and the revenue growth to a sales team and a leader. So I would assume, okay, we need to develop a team per this vision of 10 million. If our rep quote is 500K, well, 500K times 20 reps is 10 million. And now I need to go, okay, what's going to be the leadership structure that supports 20 million? Typically 5 to 10 sales reps per leader. So maybe I have a VP of sales and then 4 sales managers that have 5 reps each. And then all of a sudden, what I'm recruiting into, and what's exciting in the recruiting process at least, and in that initial year as I build up my pipeline, because the income opportunity is only 70 to 80K based on historical evidence, is I'm really recruiting into these opportunities. Okay. Now, so if I'm in the recruiting, if I'm in the recruiting pitch, right, after the sacrifice on the licensing and ramping up in the first year, et cetera, um, well, then the career path is really important. That's kind of the cherry on top in the recruiting presentation. And for you, you're heavily pitching the future org chart and what you want to build over the next 3 years, and also the residual aspect of the income opportunity as it scales. And here's an example of what the typical 3 years look like. So as an example, and now that you guys understand what it really looks like to kind of get the licensing and ramp up in the first like 3 to 6 months and really kind of make at least that first 70 to 80K in your first year. Well, what's great about this is our organization is we have very specific plans for growth in the future. So obviously we just covered the first year for expectation purposes, meaning that if 70 to 80K in your first year, assuming you follow our system, is just objectively not good enough for you financially, then it is what it is, and this opportunity is probably not right fit for you. But for those of you who that meets kind of their bare minimum needs, at least in the first year, what's amazing about this opportunity is 2 things. Just from a sales rep perspective, obviously I'm biased, but one of the greatest things about insurance is the residual aspect of the compensation plan, like we've been covering. Now, what that looks like for us, we have a sales team of XYZ today, and kind of 2 examples, John and Sally. Um, what they kind of accomplished in their first year is they made each 70 to 80K in their first year, around 150K in their first year, and then both made around 300K in their third year. And they're both now in their fourth year on track for continuing to scale up that income. And so one of the most beautiful things about the insurance industry, especially in an opportunity like ours in B2B, is the income continues to compound. And the reality is people that like sales, 80 to 90% of them are going to just want to sell and not manage people, which I'll get to the management piece in a sec. And for those of you who just want to sell long term, well, it's one of the best sales opportunities in America because you're not starting over every single month, every single year, like 99% of other opportunities. And so this is an example that actually exists within our organization of income compounding year after year. And the residual aspect of the opportunity long term in this business is like none other. It's one of the reasons why I've been in this industry for 17 years. So this piece is huge, and I'll look forward to talking about this with you in your one-on-one interviews. But those are real examples of our current sales team. On the management side, for some of you, although again, most of you will be happy enough in our sales team in the sales role because of the nature of the residual income opportunity, for some of you, you're looking to advance into the organization, meaning that you're looking for sales leadership, executive leadership opportunities. You're looking to lead and serve people. And maybe you love managing, which is, reality. Most people don't. But for those of you uh, who want to lead and who want to help the organization grow outside of just selling, well, what I love about our opportunity is we have objective plans for growth over the next 3 years. So we actually plan to add $10 million in revenue. And what that's going to require is it's going to require us to build a sales team of at least 20 reps. And the current leadership structure that's going to be required to get there will be a VP of sales, and that'll be an executive leader that works side by side with me each day, who oversees 4 sales managers. Okay. And these leaders will independently manage and lead over 5 reps each. And that's going to be the next 3 years of scale for us. And so, in short, what I mean is none of these 5 leadership opportunities exist today. Uh, or are filled today, but they exist today, meaning that they're available. 5 leadership opportunities are going to open up over the next 12 to 24 months as we accomplish this vision over the next 36 months. And what's beautiful, my main point is these opportunities will only exist for sales reps who start in the sales position first. And so there's 5 leadership opportunities as we scale. The income opportunity here looks like this, and this one looks like this. But ultimately, my point is the residual aspect and the blah, 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 the leadership So for you, those are the 2 really big things that are exciting. And so that's really sold hard, Patrick, in the recruiting process. For some, it's recommunicated in detail. In the final interview process, you're probably, talking about this in the management and retention process. And hopefully that answers your question, but those are kind of the big things.
Gotcha. Last thing is, and I love this idea about activity-based pay. So
Yeah.
historically, what we've done is we've guaranteed like low 40s per year as a salary for our sales guys, where that's the minimum that they will get. It's kind of a backstop, not a draw. And then they
Hmm.
get everything in excess of that. And so what I'm doing for new hires is I'm moving that to activity based. And
Okay.
I had a weekly activity tracker created that tracks their walk-ins, their owner interactions, the appointments, the proposals they presented, the wins, all of that for them to get to me at the end of the week, and then that will dictate whether they get their pay.
Love it.
It is, I mean, is that something that I communicate in the group interview?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a performance-based sales position, right? We went over the kind of the income examples over the first 1 to 2, 3 years, and those are again examples internally within our organization. It is a commission-based sales opportunity, but what we do is we help you out in the first 12 months as you ramp up into the role. So we want to ensure that you at least make that, 75K plus in the first year. And what we do is about half of that, 36K. So 3K per month is provided in, kind of training pay, you could call it. And the other half will be made up in commissions. And then going into year 2, your pipeline will naturally flow, like we talked about, into 150K in commissions. Now, the way that this 36K in training pay works in the first year is there's simply monthly bonuses. Or weekly bonuses or whatever. So if it was weekly, it'd be 750. If it was monthly, it'd be 3K. If it was biweekly, it'd be 1.5K, obviously, right? So I'm just going based on those example numbers. I assume that you'll probably go with something close to this.
It's
Uh,
monthly, yeah.
yeah. And so 3K. And so the way that this works is we know exactly what it looks like to make 75K, 150K, and 300K in year 3. And we just lay out those activities. And if you reach those activities every single month, enough prospects added to the CRM, enough X, Y, and Z, then you'll get this additional, call it training pay, salary bonus, whatever you want to call it, on top of your commission plans. So the way this actually works, and then you want to paint a picture just to really kind of drive it home because clarity is incredibly important. 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, right? The first 3 months, it's just going to be the bonus. And then it's going to get to 4.5K here. And so you're going to kind of draw, and this will equate to my 75K over the year. And so this income in the first year, in short, needs to be good enough for you guys. If it's not, don't even worry about taking next steps. And then you could do a little bit of a takeaway. That's like a transparent, hey, this is what it is. I'm laying out everything on the table so you know today in this group presentation if this is a fit for you or not. If it's not, don't worry about taking next steps. But again, I'm so grateful for your time today. So you want to that's hopefully that is kind of helpful.
Yeah, it's helpful because historically, we've been growing. We only have 6 reps. I've been
Yeah.
like white knuckle holding on to every candidate up to this point, and so with your
Yeah.
help, now I have the volume sufficient to just be honest and say, hey, if this
Yeah.
doesn't work for you, then let's
Yeah.
just part ways. And I think
Yeah.
that's such a healthier position to be in than we were previously.
For sure. Same thing as sales, right? If I do I want 100 prospects in my pipeline or 10? Like what gives me more leverage as a sales rep? It's the
Yes.
same thing.
Yeah, that's great. You answer all my questions